You have the roll call, please.
Good morning, Alan Barkstrom,
Here.
Doug Erickson,
Here.
Brian Ernst,
Here.
Jeff Hallstrand,
Here.
Larry Palachuk. Everyone is present.
Thank you. Public comment. Anybody for public comment? If you're online, *6. No public comment. Any communications from committee members? Mr. Palachuk.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up, but I had a question from one of the other supervisors, why the fair board doesn't have to take minutes for their meeting. And I didn't know that they didn't, and I didn't know how to answer it. So I just thrown it on the floor.
Yeah, I've talked to that individual. They're not a committee of the county, so it's
Yeah.
whatever their bylaws are. I think that's a lot of the confusion. It is 20 years ago, it used to be part of the county. Then they had to break off under statutory whatever because it was I can't remember what it was called. But then you used to have a liaison, and then they acted in order to receive the money. Back in the past, they used to say, "Oh, we'll do whatever. We'll keep the county happy in the way of running our meetings." However, we've gotten away from that. It's its own independent group. We support them in the ways you guys choose to support them, but they have their own bylaws and rules and how they run things.
Did you explain that?
Yeah,
Did the person understand it?
I think they understood it. Yeah.
And I would also add to that, I agree with what you say, that they're their own entity and technically they don't need to have minutes taken, but we could make that a stipulation of our contribution if we so choose as a board. But that's for discussion at a different time if somebody thinks it's necessary.
Maybe we should discuss it on a future
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay.
And they still report to us. They do all that. It's just in the past, the goal was to not control them. They are not us. Because then all of a sudden, if something starts going bad there, then all of a sudden everybody leans on why is the county not doing something, and it's not.
Especially now since
We're really
have ownership.
separated. Yeah.
But are we? Because didn't we, when we did, you and I talked about this, I'm sure the same person had talked to me. Are we not when we sold that fairgrounds, are we not named in that many times about the fair and the buildings?
No. So we're not named in it as like, the fair is because we wanted to make sure that the fair always had their up to 2 weeks to do their event, blah, blah, blah. So that was in there. The only place we're really named is they had to prove to us that they spent X dollars, $150,000 within the first 5 years. And if they were ever to exchange or change ownership, the county needed to be told that it's going to happen. We would have like a first right of refusal. But then if it was for monetary value, we would receive something out of that. And I can't remember if it was 10% or there was it's kind of like we're back. We have stock into it. Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever received any specific amounts from them as far as what they spent, but just from what I see, they spent more than double of what was required.
I've worked with them a couple times and just said, make sure you're tracking it so that by time we get to that end, or if someone were to request it, I could just ask them for it. Once we get closer to that 5-year mark, I'll just get a list and say, cool, they've met it, put it with, it's not the deed, but we have an agreement and it's in the deed. So we'll just shore it all up so that it's easy to see.
As long as we got something, I guess, in the file. Ms. Hodak.
I think also in that agreement, isn't it that we, the county, make sure that the 5 entities are protected within, they have to, Nick would be.
Oh, like 4-H and all of them. Yeah, there's like, if there was ever a dispute between the 4-H group and them, we're part of the grievance procedure, and we're mediation.
So we are named in there.
Yeah, but no ownership, no responsibility. We were trying to be kind of the intermediate if there was,
It's like the Boy Scouts, the
the antiques The historical, yeah, and everybody's playing nice right now and doing well, so it's been very,
That would be the only thing I can remember.
Yeah, as far as I know, everything's going, better knock on wood, everything's going good. Any more communications from board members, or committee members, excuse me? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 2, meeting minutes from September 11th, 2025. For a motion to approve. Polachek,
Second.
second by Barkstrom. Any comments or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Item number 3, treasurer's report. Renee,
Good morning.
good morning.
I know everyone received their financial reports with their packet. I don't know if anyone has any questions. I do just want to kind of point out, happy with those CDs that we entered an agreement with Prevail Bank, locked in at that 4.16, considering rates have dropped and are expected to drop again. So happy with that interest rate. Anybody have any questions on the reports? Okay. Just an update on the land sale. We are in the midst of our first round that is going to go through October 15th. Have, I think, 4 bids currently right now on 4 of those lots. So fingers crossed we get more going. That's pretty
Anything
much
else?
it for this month. I am looking to update the Towns Association. We did do some projected increases on the cost per parcel for collecting taxes, and I'm going to get that out to the town and Towns Association next week in person and later this week in an email, just to kind of let everyone know what the 5-year outlook is for collecting for the municipalities.
Collecting from
Collecting
them for us
taxes.
doing their, sending out the statements and that kind of stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
No, collecting their taxes.
Oh, collecting the taxes.
Collecting the
Well, yeah,
taxes.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, we currently have 7. And so we're just going to be a little proactive and give a little forethought to what the outlook is going to be. We did a cost comparison for what our time is, and we need to be increasing that cost at this point to be comparable to our time. So
And that's
It's gonna be coming
controlled by your office, treasurer's
It is.
office?
it is.
Board really doesn't have much to say about it unless there's a lot of backlash. We can come to you and find out what's
Certainly.
going on, right?
Yes.
yeah, I mean, you could, so Renee and myself, Carrie, we all kind of work together to come up with a reasonable number and kind of how to get there, what it looks like. Speaking of, like, if there was all this backlash or however you want to do it, and Renee was like, nope, this is what it is, which she justifiably, we came up with a reason why it is. You could make an ordinance that says we collect taxes for municipalities for X dollars, so then it would be a local law rather than a service provided out of that office. But I think
Well,
when
I'm not looking
Yeah,
for
no, but we-
adding more power to this position of
Yeah.
the board. I just
not you.
I
the
just want
board
to
would be-
understand the process.
Yep. So October, November in the past historically would send an invoice to the townships or municipalities, I should say, that we collect for now. And there's a contract with them on what the expectation is of the service of our office. And they sign that contract, and then we have an invoice per parcel that we charge them to do that service.
And it's a flat rate per parcel, not based on
Yes.
anything, but
Correct.
flat rate.
Correct.
Mr. Allstrand, you have
I had a
something?
question.
Yes.
Do we have more townships that are considering it? Do you know of, or?
There are a couple. So in April, we went to the Towns Association and we discussed it a little bit, and there's been a couple that have approached me. A couple that have also approached about going from a 3-pay to a 2-pay. So there is some interest. I think for most of them that have a joint clerk treasurer role and they're paying one person, the tax collection comes to our office more so than if they have 2 separate. But in looking at the cost to have them, I know there's a couple that are talking about when theirs retires, they likely wouldn't replace that person full-time as that one and have a joint clerk treasurer and have the county do the receipting for taxes. So it's
where
a
we're
thought.
seeing it a lot is where there's turnover
There's-
too, because
yes.
there's a lot of training to be able to collect the taxes. And so we're seeing these municipalities struggling to find a new treasurer. So it's a way that the towns are saying, hey, we know that this is an extra burden. Instead of paying the treasurer more money to try to get someone who's able and would put more time to be able to do it, we'll have the county collect. What we're seeing is we're at a point where the more we collect, the more staff we're going to be using, staff hours, I should say, using, which that's where part of like Jules is cross training, so she can help during busy times. But we do a thing called PARS where we track what projects you're working on. So we can pretty much calculate how much for every receipt we do, how much does it cost? So that's how we came up with this. Saying
That was my next question is,
Yep.
at what point, if we have 7 townships now, if we end up with 11, is that where you guys will come asking us for another
Yes.
person?
So we went through the value. And so if we get to where we're thinking in 3 years and everybody was on board, it would actually pay for another employee. Not saying that's what we would need. It would probably be more of a part-timer during tax time, but that's what we made sure to cover is there wouldn't be a substitute. Right now, if you undercharge and something like the town of Elk isn't paying, then they're actually subsidizing the collection somewhere else, even though the town of Elk is paying their treasurer to do the job. Their taxpayers are paying the treasurer's office to collect somebody else's because we're using levy money. So that's what we're trying to avoid. If you choose to have us do this, that's going to be covered by your municipality. So yes, if everybody turned and said, we want the county to do everything, I think there's one county that does, Marinette County, that everybody gets collected at the county level. We would cover our costs. That's how we've made sure to do this.
Are you looking to implement this year, the increase?
Yes, there's one increase. There's increases for the next 3 years. So that number, that PAR number that Nick was talking about is $2.99 for us at this moment. If you combine Marina and mine, when we go through the wage, the length of time, basically 20% of our role as tax collecting, when we did the math between Marina and my average, it's $2.99 a parcel. Right now, we're collecting $1.35.
So it's like
So
this year
our
we're
goal is to get
this
to
year it's
three.
$1.35. Next year I think what did we say 170,
175
and then
this year,
the
and
next
then
year
235,
and
and then
then
up to $3.
$3. And then after that we said about 10 cents, so that we're just making sure we're maintaining. That's why we did a 5-year plan, is just so we didn't scare municipalities and go, oh my gosh, it's going to go up 65 cents a year. Really, we're just saying, we're going to get to the point and then we're going to plateau, and this is our end number. We've looked at other counties, it's across the board. I mean, some charge $5, some charge $1.
$2.50. Yeah, I would say the majority of them are anywhere between $2.50 and up to $5. Marinette County is $5 a parcel.
Yeah. And then some of them do an extra fee. Like, so not only is it
Yep.
$2 per parcel, but it's a $500 setup fee. We don't plan on doing that. We're just putting it on the parcel cost.
Okay, anything else for the treasurer?
Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Moving on, item number 4, Register of Deeds. Sylvia's not here today, so Nick said he's gonna cover.
I don't have any updates, so we can, if you want to go to B.
Sure.
we can do that. So under B, so ordinance review, public hearing. So that we talked about this, I believe, last month, doing a parcel ID ordinance, which would mean that anybody who hands in paperwork to the Register of Deeds would have to have the parcel ID. Right now, about 99% of people do it. It would be more if you're like independently selling and doing the paperwork, which most people don't do anymore. So what this is there's an example of the ordinance in your packet for your review. I believe we took Polk County. I don't remember. We looked at several counties. This is the one that Sylvia thought was the best suited and simplest for Price County. We changed it to Price County. What you would need to do today is review it and decide if you want to send this to a public hearing for the next month to.
Who
so
assigns it?
Nobody
assign-
signs it today.
No, who assigns the
The
Parcel
numbers.
The
Evan?
Real property lister.
yeah, the real property lister.
Okay.
There's a method in the
Yeah.
process of how it gets assigned.
So for today, this is just for information purposes only to look at?
No, today you would review it and say, this is the language you would like, so there would be, a motion would be in order to forward this language to a public hearing for next month, if this is the language you want. And then we'll get it out for a public hearing, we'll have it at the next executive meeting, and then the board can approve it in
Okay,
November.
so
I'll make a motion to,
Forward it to public.
forward
hearing.
this to a public hearing.
motion by
I'll
Bartstrom,
second it.
second by Hallstrand. Any further discussion? So we're not signing anything today, we're just moving it forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of moving to a public hearing, signify by saying aye.
I-
Any opposed? Okay. Let that go on. Next up, number 5, Office of Administration, A, Highway 13 sidewalk project costs.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give you an update on this. If you've been out in front of our courthouse here, the sidewalk has been done by the city or by their contractor. I don't have the number right in front of me, but it ended up being around $11,000 is what will be billed for it. We do believe the bill will happen still this year because they believe they'll complete it before the tax bills can go out, which then you'd put that bill on the tax bill. We don't have a tax bill, so we'll just get a physical bill for it. The reason it's on here is not to just update you on it, but how do you guys want to allocate that expense? Carrie and I talked about it. It's probably capital improvement. I mean, we did improvement on a property. It's fixed. It's a capital improvement. If we do that, it would be a resolution at a future executive meeting to allocate capital improvement funding. We could just put it in Josh's budget as a general maintenance item. He has some room, but you never know what the rest of the year is going to bring. That would then, if he has an overage due to it, it would just come out of general fund at the end of the year. So it's really, where do you want it to trickle out of? This capital improvement, which we save up for, or the general fund?
Anybody have any thoughts?
Seeing it's just a little project like that, I would think maybe just putting it on buildings out of their fund, and then if they go over, just.
We'll watch it. Yeah. And the only reason I bring it up, make sure we're not like, oh my gosh, Josh went over by 10. And, I want it to be transparent that this was something that we just get billed for. It happens. It wasn't
It's good that it came in significantly less.
yeah, because
than
we
per-
figured 15 to 20. It came in at 11.
You want to put that in the form of a motion, Doug?
I'll make a motion that goes under buildings and grounds.
Motion by Erickson, second by Pavlicek. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on. 5B, 2025 monthly financial reports.
So this should be in your packet. It's the one that's portrait or landscape instead of portrait. Let's see if I can do. So first page is the general fund, where we're at so far this year. Nothing jumping out that we haven't talked about before. Sheriff's Department's the big one, and jail, but we've talked a dozen times on why and where that's at. We did make some adjustments going into the 2026 budget year to make sure we're keeping up with it and not falling farther and farther behind. The only thing, when we do get to the budget discussion, it is a negotiation year and we didn't put anything in the budget for negotiation. So we're going to be a year behind on that also. So really you're doubling it up in 27. It's something just to be aware of. Forestry is doing well. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but any questions on the general fund? I'm not aware of any major bills that came out of left field, so. Second page, the Health and Human Services. Biggest issue again, and I mean, a broken record when we come to this, but we have some high cost placements. We reviewed them yesterday at the Health and Human Services Committee meeting. I think it was $42,000 last month over 2 people, and we know we have a third that's coming, one going off, one getting a little cheaper. So we believe between those 3 individuals it'll be about $500,000 for the year, which is a huge. It's over half of what we budget. We're making some adjustments going into 2026. Again, this is an odd year, but it can happen. That's what we're watching is that area. Otherwise, overall, they're doing pretty good. There is a request. I'm working with Sarah right now in what is behavioral health, LT, it's long-term care, LTC, and CCS. Bobby Joe Orson has a caseload of 55 individuals and it's not slowing down. There's 9 on a coming through the other program. And the state average for caseload for that position is 25. So we're going to have to look at something because yes, we're managing, but we're getting to a point where it's getting tough. So I did have a meeting with Sarah yesterday. It looks like a lot of it is state funded. So it's just a matter of making sure we allocate the right people to it. And Sarah and I have a long-term plan for through the next year and a half to transition into either another part-time individual and then under another position. So it would be a full-time individual, but through funding mechanisms, they would actually do 2 different roles. So CCS and LTCS, which would cover funding, but we have to work through that issue. So that's the one area we're watching over there for just the caseload and the burnout.
So that's Division 61.
Yes, 60 and 61, because it would be the
And
long-term
it's a dramatic
Support.
increase in,
caseload, but not
Caseload.
cost, because a lot of it's 100% covered by the state because it's a program for long-term care. So 0 to 21 years old, I think is. So it's like you're helping specific families that are having a high needs individual, youth. So then they're helping with plans, they're helping them manage that individual. And we have 55. So that once they're on the program, they're on the program till they're 21.
did you say there's 55
Yeah.
on that plan, on that
That
program?
yeah.
That seems like a lot.
It is and it isn't. I mean, there's a lot of individuals that have needs that we cover.
State guidelines state like 25 is recommended, but
Yeah.
question was also asked yesterday, what's our average been in the past when things weren't as significantly bad as they are now? And it was in the 30s range, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
we historically we're always in that 35 to 38 range. The problem is once they're on the program, they're on the program till 21. So we're just seeing an increase. It's not like it's going to all of a sudden next year drop down to 35 again. This is where we're going to be at for a while, even with people
So
drop.
if you have a child that's autistic, does that qualify?
I don't know what classifications, but I do believe it is that. So it would be like individuals with additional learning needs. I don't want to use the wrong terms, so I'm trying to be cautious. Next thing,
Who recommends that this particular person?
yeah, so it's a state program, and so the schools recognize individuals. We do so birth to 3 is the first thing. So under birth to 3, any individual that's born and reported to the health department as, like my child, when we had a child, the hospital sends a note to the health department saying, "Hey, your child is born." They call you up and go, "What income level are you? Do you have any concerns? Do you have anything? Blah blah blah." We don't have any reason to qualify for that program. Others do, and then that's where you get help with whether it's WIC or they do the wellness checks. So like we go to the hospital for our wellness checks. Others go to the health department for their wellness checks. That's where you start to identify individuals that would fall under the long-term care program. So, and then the state has guidelines. Do you meet this? Do you have this? Are you struggling with behavioral issues? Are you struggling with learning issues? Do you need additional help with X, Y, or Z? That's how you get into the program. So it's not self-identified, it's state qualified events.
Mr. Polchek.
What happens to them when they age out at 21?
They go under the if they're, you know, high functioning after that, where it's like, hey, they transitioned into having an apartment and having a job or going off to school, whatever it might be, then it's not an issue. But if not, then it would go into that behavioral health area where they'd have the CCS, and I don't know all the acronyms, but there's a couple different programs. Anything else on health and human services? Got to brush up on my acronyms.
Well, it seems like it's something that we better pay attention.
Yeah, and I will say our staff is great. You know, Sarah and Kayla and Chana and Dawn Griesel and Chris, all of them work very closely with each other or each pillar to say, okay, what program do you fall under? What funding can we get? Is this actually a issue? Where, you know, how do we get them off the programs? How do we get them up and running? So we're very cognizant. It's not just like, okay, next, who's on the list? They do a great job of identifying. Social workers do a great job of trying to transition and working with the families. Next. All right. Other funds, that's page 3. Animal control, it's been, knock on wood, quieter. I mean, very busy. I mean, Mindy is a very busy individual. I know Catkins is doing some great things to help us out in the future, whether it's creating the proper space, the access. I know that was a big thing. So after hours access, when we do have a stray or a bite hold, things like that. Lots of calls, lots of general work, but nothing crazy. Veteran service, we're still working on the DAV van. I never know which V or A comes first, but DAV van. Eldon. I don't know where Alton Brown. I was thinking Alden. Has been doing good things over there. Hearing a lot of positive feedback from those that he's worked with. Good to work with. So we got lucky there. Library services we don't do. I mean, that's a one-time payout. Airport, we're finishing up our CSM project. We had a meeting Monday afternoon with the surveyor. Everything's been generally surveyed. He had several questions on, we had buildings that were over lines and different. So where do we want to move the line to accommodate the building? So moving forward, everybody will have a lot. We created, I think, 2 extra lots out there. So for future growth, they're already ready to go because it was making sure we had lot sizes. So that should start wrapping up here. I want to say the real property lister was hoping to have that all done by mid-November. Legal was a little concerned about the timeline, but we'll can't guarantee, but we will get it done by December when we need to in order to get everything lined up for 2027. So it's a lot of cleanup. We're discovering a lot of little issues that have kind of rolled into creating a lot of little fixes. So forestry is doing well. Okay, so cash, we're kind of following our normal trend line. We have a little bit more than last year at this time, so we have 12% more. I don't know if it was all the letters you sent out for delinquent taxes to get everybody paying, or I think a lot of it was just timing of state and federal funding. When we got the check and when we cashed it, when it was ACH to us to pay for programs that we pay cash and then get reimbursed. So $9.8 million in the bank, which is good. It's all that interest we're working at getting on those new CDs. That's Sales tax, we have July's number, 20,000 more than July the previous year. So again, people are spending money. We're at 764,963 for the year. We had 4,000 more than last year, month to month. 116,000 in 2024 and 120,000 in 2025. I think the biggest misconception we see with sales tax is individuals are feeling the pinch of increased costs, and so they're buying less widgets. And so people assume our sales tax is going to go down when actually you used to have $1,000 of discretionary income and you bought 10 widgets. You still have $1,000 discretionary income and you're buying 8 widgets. So we're still collecting sales tax on $1,000. So we're less likely to see a dip unless there's a lot of unemployment, and more likely just to see a plateau with the feeling that, or it's not even the feeling, that you are as a consumer buying less widgets. You're spending the same amount of money, you're buying less. That's a different issue than how much are you collecting. We should start to see an effect, but we may not actually see anything. But as of August, you no longer will see sales tax on your utilities, electrical bill. I was going to say heat, but it's electric. That was passed by the state this year. So we were told it was only going to be a $6,000 difference in our year. I don't know where that number came from, but I'll trust whoever put it together at this time. So it shouldn't be a big change for us. Any questions about sales tax? Stumpage, Joe said had forestry yesterday. They have 2 new groups starting. They have, I think, 4 in the woods right now. So that's great. We're at $1 million. We budget 1.2 million. We should in the next 3 months on those sales get up to that 1.2, 1.3 million, which is good. So high cost placements, we talked about this last year in August. We were at 287,000. This year we're at $448,000, which is a lot. And like we said, it comes down to 2 or 3 individuals that really run that up. The rest, we do still have high cost placements. I think we have, you remember, Paul, the chart? It was like 36 individuals that have some type of placement. It's quite a few. Yeah, I don't either.
Didn't we approve a resolution to fund that, borrow some money for that?
That is the recommendation. So yes, it is. The resolution has been passed. That doesn't mean we'll do it because you have to still put it in the budget. I still recommend that you do that, but that is in the budget for next year. High cost placements, AODA. This one's quite a bit less than last year. So it was 390 in August last year. We're at 240 this year. And this is where we talk about it's better to combine the two and look at it, because some years, based on what the issue you're working on, it falls under AODA, and other years it's under like a children and youth. So like if it's a behavioral health thing, you can still be a children and youth person, but you could be under a behavioral health cost. Or you get out of the behavioral health part, and now you're juvenile issues, so children and youth, and so you're costing under children and youth. So we try to separate it because we want to see where each group is each year. However, when you look at it as a whole, that's more of what we do as we monitor it for long-term planning. Health insurance, at least it's not red. Yeah, so in September, our fund balance was $29,000. And that's not a lot when we spend $3 million a year on health insurance. So we've made some changes. Admin will be approving the premium and the plan for next year right after the board meeting, or the next day they have a meeting. We've made, I wouldn't call them significant changes. I'd call them changes. If you're on our current health insurance plan at the statewide level, you pay $300 a month. You have the minimum high deductible to get the HSA, Next year, that plan is changing by $20 to the employee, so it'd be $10 a paycheck and $100 in the deductible. So there's an option to be very close to what you have this year with very minimal changes. We've created a lot of additional programs that go with it or benefits. So the tailored, the Health 360, the better,
Plus the drug
the
program.
drug program. So there's a lot of benefits there. So in general, we have a comparable plan to this year to next year for employees. We're also introducing a new high deductible plan that's half the cost. So to an employee, it'll be $75 a paycheck. There's some HSA incentive that the county would put into their HSA. They pay though a $7,000 deductible or $10,000 max out of pocket. So they're the employees taking on the risk. We've had a couple focus groups with employees to say, does this make sense? Is this something you're interested in? And there's been a lot of interest in it because what we see is 88% of something in that range. 88% of people never cost $1 on our health insurance, but they're paying the same thing that the others are. So we're educating that 88% of people to say, you might want to take on the risk for all these other benefits. So from the employee groups we've talked to, there's a lot of interest in it. I think we'll have some good buy-in to that higher deductible program, which then lowers the risk to us, which then lowers the risk to our reinsurance, which is our stop loss. So then not this year, which went up 18%, but next year we should hold steady or see a reduction because we're creating a different culture of health insurance. Not a bad one as in don't go, but as in understand your health insurance, understand the programs. The biggest change we're making is one called Health 360, where if I go to Tailored and they go, Nick, you need an MRI on your knee, you hurt it. If I were to go to a local hospital, Marshfield, Aspires, it's probably going to cost about $3,700, $3,600 to get that MRI, if not a little bit more. This Health 360 is a program where you log on to a thing and say, I need an MRI. What's in network? What's my cheapest option? They'll most likely send you to imaging of Wausau, which you were probably headed to Wausau or Marshfield anyways. If you go there, it's $600, which saves the county $3,000 in costs or $3,000 in your deductible. If you choose that, you as an employee will get a reimbursement of 25% of that savings up to $5,000. So not only you now are only paying $600 out of your deductible, you're getting a check for up to, in that case, about $750, which pays for you to go to that lower cost one. So in the end, the county pays about $1,300 for that instead of $3,600. So we're hoping to see large reduction in some of those imagings, colonoscopies. There was quite a savings. The biggest ones are knee and elbow or shoulder replacements, where a knee could be $100,000 at a local. If you go over to the cities, it might be $20,000. You'll get a check for $5,000. We'll save $60,000 as a county. It'll be hopefully a positive program. So a lot of interest in it already for those who recently went into their medical and saw it. That's going to be how much to pay for a new knee. So any questions about health insurance, where we're at? We're managing it. We're doing okay. The last couple pages, that just talks about parks. We saw a significant increase in early revenues in our parks, and that was because of the online booking system. Year over year, by the end, will be about the same as last year. So all we did was receive the money early. They're guaranteed payers because you paid early. So once we just talked at Forestry about putting Wi-Fi out at the parks, I would recommend with that, we just change all of our sites to just online. So once you get there, there's a QR code, pay for it right there. It reduces the handling of cash, which the treasurer and I have talked about quite a bit of. There are a lot of potential holes in that because there's a lot of hands that can touch it. We have the best practices in place we can, but that doesn't mean there's not opportunity. So if we can reduce the use of cash, that's always a positive, especially for that type of thing. So it's just all the parks and which ones do well and which ones we're subsidizing with the other parks. That's all I had for the reports.
I think I'll bring this up now because it has to do with budgets. We passed a resolution and we moved 1.4 million into the departments because they overspent. Where did that come out of cash? It went,
General fund. So it was already out of cash because
Yeah.
we spent it throughout the year. So what that is like for forestry, we budgeted $1.3 million in revenue. They didn't hit their revenue number, but they're still going to spend. They still have a cost. So in order to make their line zero between revenue and expenses, we just gave them additional revenue out of the general fund, even though you're acknowledging that line went over. So it's not, it is cash because we overspent, but it's throughout the
but
year.
the cash
Amount.
dropped.
It would, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. But this year, well, prior years, we were like forestry would have been positive 600,000, 500,000, 400,000. I think that was the 3 years in a row. So they're over $1 million in general fund positive. So to take 600,000 is just offsetting the 3 years that they cut a ton with the 1 year they didn't. This year they're back to cutting normal. Hopefully next year there's a big spike again, and then we have a bad year, so it covers it again.
Seems
So-
like the sheriff's office and the jail were the big contributors.
Yeah, and that's where we manage. That's where, like, going into the next year's budget, we made sure to budget additional funding to cover it and offset that. And a lot of that's the high cost cases, investigations.
Okay, move on to next item 5C 2026 budget.
Yeah, you should have gotten the budget packet in front of you. Carrie made a couple adjustments in there. The adjustments had to do with the loans and what they actually came in at. And then bridge and culvert aid, we had a few bridges that got pushed off to the next year. So if you want me to go through it again, I can, but those are the changes.
I would have a question. As these packets were developed starting mid-year, it seems like there's mission or creep on spending. Originally the spending was, let's see. With a 31.4, and then the next packet that was submitted went up to 30. But right now we're up to 33.
Yep.
Why the creep in the expenses in the period of a half a year of the budget process?
Usually it's probably upfront how much borrowing we're going to do, and then even health and human services, because what we do, and it's a lot of them. So we know that their expenses are covered 100%. So if we did wage increases, health insurance, all these things, there's grants and funding that would offset it. So we're making sure the expenses are right, and then we're making sure the revenues line up with what we receive. So the levy doesn't change, but the accuracy of our numbers change. If that makes sense. So it should have been 33 at the beginning. We just didn't have health and human services updated numbers. We didn't have highways updated numbers.
A lot of the software, we don't get the software numbers don't come in until later. You know, we send out the budget packet to everybody the end of June, telling them, please get us your numbers at the end of July as best as you can. A lot of them cannot get all of those numbers by the end of July. They're still working mid-year. A lot of these vendors are not providing their numbers for their next year until August and stuff. So as those numbers increase, as Nick said, those numbers will increase. So when we're like, okay, these increase, but our revenue is going to increase because we can recoup some of that money. So our levy's not changing. Yes, the spending is changing, but also as a revenue because we are going to be able to recoup a lot of that.
Well, the only thing that we can control is our spending.
In some cases,
and-
yes, and some no. Yeah.
Right now, as I see it, we're we're over 5% increase from last year, increase in spending.
And a lot of that's the choices we've made at highway to do more paving. Yep.
Well, we all know about highway. They're heroes as far as spending.
So is the sheriff's department. Let's not just pick on highway. There's a lot. I mean, costs have gone up. We've covered them with as many grants and
But
Yeah.
Larry wasn't here at the last executive meeting, but I pointed out that that Price County Highway is second in the state as far as spending per capita. So it's
So-
just what it is.
and it was an interesting discussion I had at my conference about this. So you're right, per capita we are high, but how do you determine population? Not by the properties, but by the people that are here. If you look at who's actually the properties here, we're not high in the state because like a lot of people don't second home in Marathon County, right? So Marathon County just has a high population. People have a property, they live on the property. In Price County, if you said all the properties actually had people living on it, we should have 40,000 people, not 14,000 people. So then if you now redivide that number by actual potential population, we're right in the middle, right? So I talked to Forward Analytics about this because it's one of those like weird, you can't use that number. You can use that number, but it doesn't tell you a good picture. Because look up at, what is it, Forest County? I think it's like 80% of their homes are second homes. So if you look by any type of spending by per population, they're really high because the locals, there's not a lot of them. Same with Price County. We hand out that sheet about who lives here and who pays taxes here. And it's 50-50, right? 55-45. We'll double our population, that would half that number, and we'd be right in the middle because those houses aren't being filled by individuals because there's houses, there's properties paying property tax. We still have to maintain a road whether you live here or not. We still have to have a police, we have to have the emergency service, we still have health and human services. So population is a difficult comparable because not everybody has a 50-50 pay. Some have more ag land, but which has a highway that goes by it. So Marathon would be like, has a lot of ag land but yeah, population's an interesting one because you still have properties here. You're not reducing the properties. You just don't have people living in those houses.
Perhaps another way to look at it is look at revenue per capita of residents. We should be pretty high there too then.
Yeah, right. We would,
Mhm.
yeah. Because if the state says, okay, you're going to get $100,000 to do a service, we might only have 2 people that use that service, but the state still is mandating it. So it's $50,000 of revenue per person. That same service in Eau Claire, they're going to service 100 people. So now it's $1,000 per person in revenue, but it only takes 1 employee to serve 100. We just don't have 100 users. So the state still has to give you 100 or that money, that $100,000. So I went to a program talking about, the numbers and how it's really dangerous because you can make the numbers tell you anything you want. I could make us look like the worst county in the world, and I can make us look like the best county in the world, depending on what I divide a number by or what you compare your number by. So I like that we're talking about this because I think it's important, but it's also, I don't want to live and die by like, oh my gosh, we spend too much or a lot on highways per person. Well, we've also made that decision to borrow a ton of money to work on our highways. The counties around us said, we want to do a jail. We want to do a building at $40 million. So they're paying way more for debt and capital per capita than we are, but their highways may be suffering for that. We've got great buildings here. Josh and his team do a great job maintaining them. So we haven't even had to have a conversation to say, let's go build another courthouse or our jail. We're the smallest one in the state. But if you said, let's add 20 beds to that, you're looking at $20 to $30 million minimum to add. So per bed, you're looking at $1 million.
And no place to put it.
Right. We'd have to build into our parking lot. But or we can send an inmate off we send, say, 3 to 5 inmates off a month for $50 a day. The payment on $40 million or $30 million loan is $300,000 a year for the next 10, 20 years, where, yep, we have to pay $50,000 a year to out of housing. It's cheaper. Plus, we don't have to have additional staff because we got 20 more beds. You don't have to have more food contract. You don't have to have more. So I get we're the smallest, or it's what number do you want to compare? And I can come up with 10 excuses that it's not. So what we look at, Carrie and I, is when we talk to these other counties is, what's your long-term plan? What's your philosophy? What are you seeing as, like, you have a house that's worth $200,000. What are they paying for taxes? Oh, they're paying the same over here because that house is a $100,000 house. Or good discussion.
Roger was gonna give me a conditions report on a neighboring county. You gave me this one last meeting.
The
I haven't
PARS
seen it
report.
yet.
He's on vacation
Again?
again. He's been gone for 2 weeks. Yeah, he had a 2-week vacation. I will say
Does this budget reflect the sheriff's department negotiations? Or I
it does
should
not.
say-
Right.
okay.
So when you negotiate, you don't want to say, we set aside $50,000. How would
Right.
you like to negotiate? So we've traditionally set aside $0. And we go into the negotiation. We know it's going to be a year that you're going to go over budget by that negotiation. And then in 2027, we'll make sure we cover the negotiation plus the next
Okay,
year.
so that's how we're gonna deal with it. We're not.
That's
gonna
how we've
come back and-
traditionally-
and,
yeah.
Revise the budget. We're just gonna
Yeah.
fix it or
That's how we've traditionally
cover it
worked
as
it.
we go.
Mhm. So the other change, because of that culvert aid and stuff, so we, in the second draft that everyone had seen, it was 1.44% increase in levy. Carrie worked the numbers real hard, and we're down to 1%. So it'd be a recommended 1% increase in levy year over year, 1.02.
Any further discussion regarding C? And otherwise we can go on to loan quotes.
So this is what will be presented at the board. The board, or I think we have to do a motion. What did I say, Meredith? Do you remember?
Oh, motion to forward this to full board.
I think motion a recommended levy of whatever the number is, 13,585,508 for the full board. So then what the full board will do is say, we want to pass this on to the public hearing, that number.
Okay, we're looking for a motion to
Recommend.
recommend this budget to the full board. Motion by Polachek,
I'll second.
second by Erickson.
Meredith, the number will be 13,529,200.
Thank you.
That's
Did
the
my
levy.
teams-
Oh,
You wanna
I
go
don't
ahead
even
and,
have Teams open.
Just read it.
Okay. I need my agenda. Does it have budget somehow? Okay, I have motion Palachek, second Erickson to recommend the 2026 levy and forward to the county board in the amount of,
1-3.
thank you. No, I have to put the commas, one moment. In the amount of 13,529,200.
That's the last.
Oh.
This is number 2.
Okay,
Is that correct?
any further discussion? I hear none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. C1, loan quotes.
We sent out the resolution that you guys had recommended what debt we would be looking for this year. We received a few quotes back. We have to approve all, well, we have to pick them, approve them all, but the one that we need to that makes the biggest difference is the TJs or the long-term one. They should be in your packet. I'm going to the summary page that I.
Oh.
Hold on, Carrie's bringing up the summary page because all I have is all the quotes.
Can I ask you a question about the last motion? I had a different amount in my teams than that. That should be correct, though.
Whatever I just the
Okay.
15,585 was the second draft. We lowered it by quite a bit.
Okay. For some reason, I had 13,534,789.
No, it's the number that they just gave you.
Okay, perfect.
What do you have?
Where are we at here? Are we you trying to find something
He's
to put on
opening
the
something.
screen or?
But there's the summary. We blew it up.
Yeah. So okay, for the highway debt of $3.8 million, 3.85 million, 1 year, we only had one individual quote, and that was the Prevail Bank at 3.89%. When they're 1 year, like I said, the percentage is less of an issue because that's the quick turnover, right? We borrow it in December, make sure it's in our books, and make sure we cover everything for the audit, and then well, she's printed, so I can't see it, but we only do it for a short term, so we pay it back by the end of the first quarter. So there's the interest rate doesn't affect it much, but we only had one, so I don't do you need it approved separately or
No.
as a whole?
Because I'm
Okay.
sure they're going to pick.
Oh, I didn't realize it's that much. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, the second loan that was quoted was the Health and Human Services high cost placements. That's what we talked about, $400,000. 1 year quote. Prevail Bank quoted it at 3.89%. Citizens State Bank of Prentice quoted 6%. Forward Bank no response, and Associated no response. So Forward and Associated had no response on any
Well,
of them.
Associated responded. They just declined.
Sure, declined to quote is their response.
Hmm.
General projects, 190,000 for 1 year. That was Prevail Bank at 3.89% and Citizen State Bank at 6%. The highway, $300,000 revolving loan there. That's a 3-year loan. So this one, the percentage matters much more. So Prevail Bank was 3.94%. So what, 5.55 basis points more. So 0.05 more than their 1 year. Citizen State Bank of Prentice bid 5.19%. The IT server project for $850,100 over 5 years. The quote was for 3.99% from Prevail and 5.49% from Citizen State Bank of Prentice. So the motion would be to accept Prevail's bank quotes for all projects, all 5 projects.
Citizens statement, you're saying from Prentice, yet when I
Correct.
look at their letterhead, it says Cadot.
Yeah, but they are
The letter comes from the gentleman or the person from
from
Prentice.
the, right.
Prentice
Prentice?
office,
Yeah.
So that's a local bank.
Forward never responded?
No, Forward did not respond at all. Usually they respond, but this year they did not.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know.
There's a couple things we see with these. We have a really good relationship with the individual that works on the one. So when you're doing municipal loans, there is a bank limit. So there's I don't know if it's a regulatory limit or there's a regulatory limit of, I believe, $1 million for short term. So not every bank can find partner banks. So what happens with some of them is they'll go out and get 3 partner banks or 4 partner banks to split the loan, and they'll have one main bank so that they fall within regulations. Forward just sees them and goes, it's a couple $100 for work, because we paid off in that first quarter, so.
They haven't been successful, have they?
No,
No.
they haven't been, so
Well,
I think that.
I'm thinking,
is
why go through
probably
the
why-
effort?
Yeah, but
Right.
usually they would respond to like
It's kinda
associated.
It's kind of risky for us, you know, and only having
Yeah.
couple, one is way out of whack.
Again, we have a really good relationship with Prevail. That's why we see them quoting quite often. If we were to start to see like only one, we would probably start soliciting a little bit more. Like we used to have a really good relationship with First National Bank. They were a local bank. I could walk in there, talk to the president and say, here's what we're doing. We would just have to reestablish some of those relationships to say, hey, every year we're doing this. What are you bidding?
And associated, when they decline to quote, the reasoning behind that is they want a depository. They want us to have deposits in their bank. They want a bank account, and we don't have that with them. And a lot of times, even Citizens, if we did have funds in there, they probably would have reduced the rate a little bit more too. That's how they want a relationship too.
Somebody want to make a motion and then we can discuss more?
I'll make a motion to accept Rails.
Motion by Erickson, second by Hallstrand to accept the loan rate quotes from Prevail. Any discussion? Well, first an observation, I see the interest rate, most if not all is less than what our CDs are giving us. That's a good thing.
Just borrow more.
This highway one, the first one, 3.85 million.
Rules against that.
Yeah,
Making money.
remind me, I know.
So that's paying back last year.
This is last
all the
year's.
stuff. Well,
Okay.
it's 3.1 of pay or 2.6
0.6
of payback. Part of the vehicle or the yellow equipment,
Yeah, we
and then the
separated that out.
700. Yeah, so we did one loan for all highway things.
If you look
There's
on
multiple.
the bottom of like the Prevail one, it does list.
I don't have
Yeah,
that.
I see that list, but
I list, so that's
I
what
don't know
those
what
numbers
that
are
is.
for. So I'm trying to, here, let me find it.
I don't have it. Friends of Fred Smith, us.
Let's see.
I know one, well, probably
Oh.
two of them are the yellow equipment and
Okay.
the,
Yes, so the 400
Road.
is that rotating 400 that we've done every year. The 350
maintenance.
for maintenance, the 350 is for the truck, the second truck. The 490 and the 2610, so the 490 is gonna be for yellow equipment, actually yellow equipment, and then 2,610 was for the roads. So those two were the 3.1.
okay.
Yeah, so when we did the loans, we just said, okay, let's do all highway. It helps us on our accounting side.
Well, I'm
because then
okay
we
with
can
that.
put-
I
yeah.
just, because I don't have a
Yeah.
photographic memory, I don't
Right, and
remember
that's why I
what
put
those
it on the
are.
bottom, just to help us remember, like.
Yeah,
this is
and
what
if you-
those numbers were.
If you go to the budget packet, it should line up with all the projects.
Right.
And then yeah, I'm sure it does. I just wanted to get it out.
We didn't sneak an
Clear
extra one
mind.
in there, or like,
No, but just to be transparent.
yeah, trying to remodel
The
this
Health and
place.
Human Services, we decided to, instead of taking out of funds we have, we decided to take out a loan.
We
That's
talked about, yep.
Yeah, we
no,
talked about that.
rather than lowering that fund
The
balance.
next
year
one
over
is the
year.
Highway 300, but there's always 3 loans in process. One has got 1 year left, one's got 2 years left, one got 3 years left. When one gets paid off, we get another one.
Yep. So it's like a revolving paycheck on that.
And then the last one is the IT storage. That's self-explanatory. So anybody else have anything? If not, all those in favor of the motion, you want to read the motion, please?
Motion by Erickson, second by Hallstrand to accept Prevail's quotes for all 5 loans, and I'll list them in the minutes. Yes.
Meredith, I will print the loan summary sheet. I did print
Okay.
it, and I'll give it to you so you have it for what each interest rate and loan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. 5C double I. We just did that. 5D, 2027 Website Compliance Project.
Yeah, so we were informed that there's new regulations that we as a government municipality need to have a compliant website for AODA accommodations by 2027. We fall under the small municipality, so under 50,000. If you're greater than 50,000, you have to have this done by April 2026. You have to be working on it by April 2026. So TJ, myself, Melissa, Laura, we all met with our website provider, which is Civic Plus. Their website is up to the AODA standards, the functionality of the website. However, it's our responsibility as the county because we own the content of the website. So we have to make sure we're compliant with all the content and the colors and things like that. So positive part is we have our redesign available. So we're going to be using our redesign of our website. So we get a free redesign every 4 years or so. I don't know. Whatever. We didn't use it the last time, so we have a redesign available. So I'm working with Laura. I've kind of told her you're taking the lead of this because she's our communications person. So we're going to do our redesign in January and February, which will help anything with colors, pictures, buttons. So all the buttons have to be. So if you say you had a visual impairment, there's programs that'll read off the buttons, and right now our buttons wouldn't be red. They would just be button rather than what the verbs are or the stuff is. So anyways, so through our January, February redesign, we'll get all the colors, the functionality portion of our content. From there, I had, because Jules does a lot of the website stuff, so she's been learning what the regulations are for the AODA stuff. So whether it's how the format is, the size, the buttons, whatever it is. So she's been working with Civic Plus to get that up in her head. So she's kind of been going through and fixing the little things if she can as she goes. So all through 2026, after that redesign, we'll start to make sure all of our copy is proper, meaning the words on there. So that means ADA compliance. The biggest hurdle we're going to have, and this is where it's going to cost money in 2026 because none of this is ever free, is we have to provide 2 programs on our website. One is a visual impairment type program where it's like a drop down or a thing where you click on it and it would change all the colors to black and white, or it would change all the things to high contrast, or it would read it, or it would zoom in on it, all kinds of stuff. So that, I can't remember what that program's called, but it's SpyView, SpyPoint. I don't remember. That's about $2,000 a year additional on our website cost. And then the more expensive, which TJ and I are reviewing, Laura's looking at, a couple of us are working on it. Every PDF or any document on your website has to be indexed. So I talked to another county who's going through this right now, who has to be done by April, and they had over 10,000 documents on their website that have access because it was here. We want to be transparent. Here's all of everything, packets, all kinds of stuff. So one thing we're going to do throughout the year is we're going to make sure our website only, for now, we'll get rid of anything on the website that's out of, like, we don't have to maintain the file. So like after 7 years, we can get rid of stuff. So like on the website, we won't have anything older than X for whatever the regulation is. But then going forward, we have to have a program, and I don't know what the program's even called, that you can either pay $10 a page to have all your PDFs indexed as you go, or we can train a staff and still pay for this program. And then you just pay like $2,000 a year to have the program. It indexes all your PDFs before they go onto the website. We'll have to go back and do 3 years worth of all documents that are out there. So again, we're going to make sure the documents that are out there are necessary to be out there, or worthwhile having out there. And then going forward, before like the packets are posted, anything with the budget, anything with tax time, it'll be run through this program, indexed. This program then will defend you if there's ever a lawsuit saying you don't meet ADA compliance, blah, blah, because their role is to index, but even though it's your employee doing it. So that'll be an additional cost going into the future too. I don't know what that's going to be, but I know we don't want to do the $10 a page to have somebody else do it. So we're going to have to figure that out. Right now, like I said, I've put Laura as the lead to get us into compliance. Jules has been helping out because she's kind of been, she learned the website as we went. And so that's been helpful. Other than that, I just wanted to kind of keep you in the loop that this is a project that is happening or has to happen.
ADA, that's American
Disabilities Act. So visual impairment, hearing, so anything with videos. So all of our YouTube/recordings, anything we do has to be closed captioned, which we're in semi-compliance with that. Because we can close caption it, but we don't do live closed captioning, which we'll work with our WebEx provider to do that starting in 2027.
So I want to just make a comment, kind of going to, the questions you had on total budgets. This came up after the budget was already figured out. As he's saying the numbers, I didn't know this. So we don't know the numbers yet. So this is something that, hey, you have to do it, and you have to do it in 2026. And sorry, you can't put it in your budget because we don't know the numbers yet.
What if you don't do it?
We get daily
our risk?
fined. We get a
You get
fine
fined?
every
Yeah.
day. Yeah. Yeah. So
It's not just the risk of being sued,
No.
we actually get fined.
Yep. So the DOC or DOJ, somebody will correct me, it's one of the two. It will be monitoring, and then you get a daily fine if you have not attempted
So,
to
okay,
move forward.
Mhm.
If we're not into 100% compliance by that date, we have to then prove to them we've
That we're
gone
working
through
on
these
it.
steps. So I've been very meticulous on emailing TJ and documenting, and here's our timeline, and working with Laura. So if someone does come back and say, you're not in compliance. Okay, look, for a year and a half, we've been working on this. We've been talking about it. We've bought program, whatever. And I want to get it on it today, because if we wait till December next year and go, oh, we have 4 months left, the cost of this is going to be significantly more, because it's going to be an emergency rather than we're coming into compliance. So I just wanted people to know that.
another one of those
It's
things, we have no choice.
Right. It's a lot of tinkering and a lot of stuff.
Is that a state ADA? Is that a state?
No, it was a federal. I can open it right now. It was a federal guidelines 2.0 or something. I can't remember. Website projects.
More questions regarding the website compliance?
Just opening the document. The document's 80 pages. No.
That's the guidelines for what we're required to do.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't say it right on there. I'd have to look at my old emails. The Civic initial best practices conform to ADA Section 508 of the WCAG 2.0 and 2.1 and 2.2 levels of A and AA guidelines. So if that tells you anything.
Well, if somebody wants the details, they can get with you
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
Okay, unless there's something else regarding that, we'll move on to item number 6, clerk's office. Before I let Meredith give updates, I just want to make a comment. She brought donuts today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Help yourself. So the clerk's office right now, we are preparing for elections. And by so doing that, I attended 2 conferences that addressed election training and topics. One was the first ever Wisconsin Elections Commission Conference, and that was in Wausau. Also attended the Wisconsin Counties Association Fall Conference, where we spoke about legislative issues dealing with elections. Therefore, this October 27th in this room, we'll have election training for municipal clerks, poll workers, a lot of people involved with elections. So, and in this boardroom, we're expecting over 37 people so far, 2 sessions worth of people. So it'll be really good, and we will have some uniformity between us all, and it's always good to have a refresher course for elections. Fond du Lac County Clerk will be also teaching jointly with me, so that should be good.
What's the date?
October 27th from 9 to noon and 1 to 4. And we're leaving that sign up for municipal clerks and their poll workers. So we will record it too, but yeah, should be some good information and good sharing between everyone there. Should be no cost. We're just going to meet right here. So that's about all I have. We're also, Jules and I are working on printing out nomination papers, declarations of candidacy for the upcoming races and elections in April. So you may see some of those in everyone would get one together, or you can come and stop by to the office and we'll print some off for you. They are also online if you need them. So that's all I have for updates.
Okay, thank you. 6B, resolution regarding amending supervisor district boundaries to reflect annexations. Basically, all of us, except Doug and Larry, talked about that this morning at the redistricting committee meeting, and it was voted to send it forward to this committee. So I'll read that. You should have it in your packet. The packet version has been updated just basically to correct some grammatical updates. And Meredith also added some space for signature lines for the executive committee.
I'll move that it be approved and forwarded.
Motion by Markstrom, second by Hallstrand. I'm going to just read it, part of it for the record. Amending 2026 supervisory district boundaries to reflect annexations. A resolution amending the Price County Supervisor District map for districts 8 and 11 to reflect annexation by the town of Elk. You can read the whereas, and then now therefore be it resolved, the Price County Board of Supervisors hereby amends the supervisor district maps to transfer the following real property from Supervisor District 11 to Supervisor District 8. And then the legal description is also printed in on the sheets for the resolution. Any discussion? Pretty much hashed it out this morning. Doug, you weren't here. Do you got any questions?
No.
Larry was here, but he wasn't part of the committee, but he was eavesdropping, I assume. So do you have any questions, Larry?
No, I have none.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Next up, number 7, Act 235 and Act 25 update and municipal agreement. Now, these have to do with privacy information. I'll let you take it, Nick.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a quick update on this. So we've been working, you guys approved a policy and procedure a couple months ago. We haven't seen an influx of individuals applying for the program, but we have seen the state, they had a follow-up legislation that cleaned things up, but also added way more. So the follow-up legislation allowed anybody who was a poll worker or an election official to be included in this. We don't have a lot of guidelines on how or who they talk to. We've also come up with a confidentiality agreement or a contract or an MOU, I don't care what you want to call it, some paperwork that we've sent to every municipality and every assessor to say, you may be getting information that isn't public because this individual has protections under the state law. Please be aware. And we've had some pushback from municipalities. Some signed it. Here you go. We understand. We don't want to give this information out anyways. We'll work with you. We've had some pushback from some municipalities that are interpreting the state law differently or don't want to sign something because my name's on it instead of which we've offered to put Brian's name or Corp Council's name, but I don't know. So I just want everybody to be aware that there are, we do plan on still working with those municipalities, giving them their election books and giving them their tax rolls. But in the future, if there are additional individuals that have requested their information be protected, what we were trying to do is make every municipality the same, so you wouldn't even know if you had one or not. Where, now if we just said, oh, the one municipality, Worcester, we need you to sign it because you're the only one to have it. Well, that narrows down. That defeats the purpose of this legislation, whether you like it or not. So I'll just keep you updated if we're having troubles, because it'll become a problem where, hey, we can't give you this tax roll because there's individuals that have protected information. And if I give it to you, I'm now liable because you have the potential of giving out that person's information, whether you like it or not. So it's just more of an education thing. I know legislators have pushed a little bit of the onus onto the municipalities, like they're responsible too, but we're trying to protect the county to make sure if someone has gone through the legal process to protect their information, that we're not handing it out to somebody who's going to hand it out. Like I said, assessors have been great. They go, cool, get it. Just tell us who not to talk about, and we won't talk about it. Municipalities, I would say 85% have just
We're
signed
only
it.
talking about the judge, right?
No. Anybody who's a judicial officer, meaning the judge appoints like a family court commissioner. We have a court commissioner for any ordinance violations. The city has a court commissioner. Park Falls has a court commissioner. So anybody there, then anybody who's ever worked an election poll. So if I'll pick on Bob Kopish. Bob Kopish's spouse works the polls. He can go in, or she could go and bring us a piece of paper saying, I'm an election official. Please take my name off any public electronic records. So then if you search that property, it would not show up. So this could be hundreds of people in Price County. And I can only imagine Eau Claire, thousands, Marathon County, thousands. They have 29 voting districts or 39 voting districts or polling places in Marathon County. So everyone has 20 employees over the last 100 years. That's a lot of potential paperwork.
As of right now, though, unless it changes, the people affected have to request it, though. It's
Correct.
not automatic.
Yes, it's not us. It's anybody. So we've put in a procedure in place that judges and court commissioners, so judge officials, past judges, or like say a judge from Buffalo County bought a 40 acres up here with a little cabin, they can request up here. They're a judge, it's their name's on it, or court commissioner or federal judge or whatever. If you're in that group, you have to go to the District 9 judge, which is Ann Knoxbauer out of Taylor County, request a specific piece of paperwork form, so that we know that this is official. You can't just go into, in our case, the Corp Counsel's office and go, I'm a judge or a court commissioner. It's the district court has to give you the official paperwork, which then shows us that this is an official court member. So they'd get it from Judge Knoxbauer. We'd then receive it in our Corp Counsel office, which then Corp Counsel would disseminate that paperwork to zoning, Register of Deeds, clerk's office. Is that the only three? Zoning was a big one, Register of Deeds. But anyway, so the offices, so that they know, then Register of, or our tax lister then would go into the system. Any property that, so if you own 20, 40 acre parcels, you have to list every one. Those would all have whatever we have decided to do with those properties in the system. So I can't give those things away, but so they would do that all the electronic. And then when election books are printed or tax rolls are printed, we have to come up with a process that would either get rid of that or work with the municipality that they won't show anybody that, or there's a couple different ways we're exploring on that. If it's the election official, we have not really put in place, because our policy and procedure we passed didn't have the election officials in mind. So we still have to come up with a we have a general procedure that it would still go through Corp Council. However, we don't know if it needs to come from your municipality. Like, yes, I have paperwork that proves that you were at one time an election official for Town of Lake. Or what if I moved here from Eau Claire and I was an election official there? We would need some type of paperwork to say that you were an election official in Lake Holcomb and you now want your stuff here redacted. So we're all in this. This is an infant stage of how the heck this is all going to work. We're lucky we haven't had a rash of
I think
election
the original
officials.
intent of this whole thing was lost. It's crazy.
I think it'll turn into, I think it was Florida,
Well, there was
Oh.
one judge that was tracked
Yeah.
down and murdered.
Connecticut or New Jersey. Yeah. So New Jersey judge was killed and there was GIS tax information on the shooters. So that's where this all came from. Then the Minnesota one and then whatever. I believe was it Florida we talked about? There's one state or there's several states that already have just on their tax software. So you go online, you click a little button that says, don't make mine public. So it just protects your information. So it's just open to anybody and everybody. If you want people to know that you bought that property, leave it unchecked. If you don't want it seen, you check a button on your taxes, or I don't know the process. But I believe in the next 5 years, when this starts to really get complicated or the intent has been lost, it'll just become a option. Yeah.
Any more discussion? Okay, we'll move on. Before we go on to vouchers, I just want to make one comment regarding 6B, district boundaries. Just want to let Mr. Polachek know, I didn't slight you as far as the redistricting committee. You weren't able to attend the last executive meeting, and that's where we put it together. You weren't intentionally left out.
Yeah, you. I've been chased out of higher class places than this.
Oh, yeah, I know. Just don't want you to have your feathers ruffled. Okay, monthly vouchers, looking for a motion to approve. Motion by Polachek,
Second.
second by Barkstrom. Any discussion? I think I've asked this question before, but Quest, it was like roughly $2,000. That include the work at the airport?
No, I think that one is, I think it's West. I think that is separate. I don't think that $2,000 was the airport work. I think-
So he gets 2,000 a month for one day that he's in the office, and I'm not.
I think that was probably his quarter.
Yeah.
Oh, that was for the quarter?
Pull it up.
Maybe. Yeah, so we have Quest as our certified surveyor. And I think that's 12,000 a year, so that would make sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
And then we asked them to do additional projects. It might even be a land info
I think
project.
it's a land info project.
So they do projects through land info
But
for
I can-
forestry and for zoning. Sorry, I was reading an email.
any other discussion regarding the vouchers? All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Vouchers are approved. Number 9, date of next meeting. As of right now, it's November 6th, 2025. If that changes, you'll be notified at least 2 weeks before. There's no more discussions to be had. I'll hereby adjourn the meeting. Thank you.